We have already started talking about practice. How can you introduce variety in your practice? If you are serious about improving your English skills and achieving native life fluency, then you might probably have started a practice routine. If you don't really know how to organize it, how to build it, and how to maintain it, check out the community of practice that I'm creating for non-native speakers. This is a dedicated place for non-native speakers, advanced level students, devoid of the distractions of social media, where you can find dozens of creative exercises that are in line with the methodology of achieving native life fluency. Basically, you watch my process, you see me do all those exercises, and you can choose what you might want to do today. What is important for me when it comes to practicing and organizing my own creative practice? I need variety when it comes to the level of challenge. Some exercises will be easy, and it's important to have easy exercises in your practice. And others will be quite challenging, and some of them will be, well, okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give them a 5. Many non-native speakers think, for whatever reason, that everything needs to be extremely difficult. Because if it's not, they are not pushing too hard. And if they're not pushing too hard, then they're not trying hard. And of course, they can't achieve meaningful results. I disagree with that because it needs to bring joy. What brings me joy is the realization that I'm getting better, my own results, my own tangible improvements. And not only improvements relative to how correct the sentence is or how well I did the exercise, but I'm also paying attention to improvements relative to how easy was it for me to start my practice today? How much joy did it bring me? How much time did it take me this time? How easy was it to pick an exercise? I see it all the time too. People spend way too much time choosing what they want to do today for their practice routine than spending the time doing the actual exercise. And that's another reason why I am creating this community of practice, so that people don't have to choose. You don't have to travel on the internet to find the right website, to find the right article to work with, to find the right video, to find the transcript to what you think is a good podcast. Everything is there for you. And trust me, content is not important. It's how you work with content. It's your ability to squeeze the value out of this content and to extract this value and see through it. That's what is important. This is why, yes, content is there for you, but not because it's the best content. It's just because it's organized, so it's more convenient. You can practice it. You can use it immediately without having to compile all these materials together yourself. And you're not a methodologist. You're probably not supposed to. So my job is just to make this process easier and to show what exactly I'm doing with it myself, because there are so many nuances in the process of doing the exercises. But I'm paying attention to a lot of different things that are not related to the language, but that are related to my ability to learn. Attentiveness is the number one skill in the system of exercises that I teach, the system of exercises to achieve native life fluency. Attentiveness is the number one skill, and I want to be very attentive to myself. Every time I finish any exercise, I ask myself 2 questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was it for me? How challenging was it for me? What was the level of challenge? And I want to make sure that this number varies. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 7. This number can vary. You don't want to do all the exercises that are always a 2, and you don't want to do the exercises that are always a 10, because you'll get tired very quickly. And the second question I ask myself is, on a scale of 1 to 10, what was the level of joy? And here, I want to stick to the last numbers, to 8, 9, 10. If I start getting numbers such as 6, 5, and lower than 5, I need to correct the course. I ask myself, what is wrong? What was it that killed all the joy? Was there joy in the first place? Maybe I picked the wrong exercise. Maybe I picked the wrong timing. Maybe I picked the content that was not inspiring. Maybe it was just too difficult for me. There can be several reasons. Your job is to find that reason and fix that. But make sure there is variety. And a very easy strategy to introduce variety when it comes to creating your own practice routine is to vary the exercises, like what are you actually doing? And I gave you some examples earlier. So listening, you can be doing active listening, you can be doing intensive listening, you can be doing inquisitive listening, you can be doing the listening exercise with an intention to focus on every single word, or you can be doing a listening exercise with an intention to pay attention to intonations and learn the art of stressing words or emphasizing words, or you might maybe shadowing is your focus. What is key here is choosing your focus correctly. It's easy to achieve variety if you know that before you start doing any exercise, you need to understand and you need to make a decision. What is my focus? If my focus is thought chunking and pausing, then I do this listening exercise, keeping this in mind. If my focus is vocabulary, maybe professional vocabulary, maybe I want to learn the vocabulary relative to the world of feeling and emotion, then that's my focus, and I don't pay attention to anything else. If my focus is short-term memory, I do this. If my focus is summarizing, then I listen with an intention to summarize what I have heard. If my focus is structure, then I listen with an intention to recognize the structure and to communicate what I think I have understood so that it has structure. You see? We're working with the same content, but since your focus can be so different, it's so easy to introduce variety. And again, in the community of practice, exercises are organized exactly in this way. I am showing you what your focus can be, but this is not the exhausting list. There can be so many more things you want to choose to focus on. It all depends on what you want to improve, on what your practice routine looks like. But I'm showing you a number of options. And I like to practice focusing on different things on different days so that I don't get bored and so that I'm always checking in with the reality. To make it easier, I'm going to name all the 9 skills again. The 9 skills that are important, essential to achieving native-like fluency. They are attentiveness, listening and short-term memory, clarity, brevity, articles, rhythm, writing, questioning your own ideas, and diction or enunciation, the 9 skills. The 10th skill is the skill to learn the language, the umbrella skill. And you can choose different focus inside each skill. Let's say if you take rhythm, oh my God, you can practice pitch, you can practice melody, you can practice accent, you can practice pace, you can practice volume, you can practice pronunciation. If you take clarity, you can practice structuring your ideas, you can practice connecting your ideas, you can practice recognizing structure, you can practice contrasting your ideas, you can practice showing chronology, or you can practice writing texts where paragraphs flow. You can practice writing the opening paragraph or the opening sentence of each paragraph. You can practice crafting one big idea. You can focus on so many different things. And it's easier to organize your practice in such a way that you focus on something small. So you choose your focus that is very small and deliberate. It is easy because you're going to complete this exercise. If you can see what you're doing, if you know what your focus is. If you focus on something too big, too challenging, you're never going to complete that exercise. Because many people try to complete in 20 minutes or even in 1 hour what takes 2 years to complete. If you aim at writing 1 paragraph, you can accomplish this exercise today. If you aim at improving your writing skills, you can't accomplish this today, even if you write 5 paragraphs. It's just impossible. So make sure you know what your focus is. And it's going to be so much easier to introduce variety in your practice routine and to enjoy all this novelty that is going to be there. It's going to be there. It's inevitable. Sometimes it makes sense to follow somebody's guidance. Guided practice is important, and we all need it when we feel that we're missing something, but we don't really know what it is. And sometimes it makes sense to stop listening to everybody and to create something of your own. So make sure you vary these 2 elements as well. Do some guided practice. A guided journal is a good, I mean, if you can buy a notebook that's called a guided journal, or you can find those writing prompts online as well. Try to follow somebody's lead and answer the questions that have been suggested for you. But at times, practice the opposite too. Listen to nobody. Close all the tabs and ask yourself, what do I want to do right now? What do I feel like doing now? And do it. Open any website, stumble upon any song or any quote, and do an exercise that you feel like is a good exercise for you to do right now. And write down the results. Writing down the results and knowing exactly what the metrics are and what measurement system we use to measure fluency is another important element of moving forward. Otherwise, you're just doing random things in a chaotic order. It's not a well-structured practice, it's chaotic. When you do a lot of things, even if you do a lot of new things, but there is no structure, there is no system, there is no measurement system, there is no tracking system. You're just doing a lot, but it's a mess. And you don't really know if you're improving. So make sure you know how to measure your success and your failures too, and how to work on your mistakes. One final message I want to leave you with is this. Practice both spontaneous speaking skills and prepared speaking skills. If you're someone like myself, a non-native speaker who needs to deliver important ideas to people who speak a different language, if your job is to communicate with people, to motivate people, to unite people, to lead people, to guide people, you need to understand people. And it's important that you don't just speak correct English. You can communicate ideas that people can relate to. If this is the case, make sure you practice not only prepared speech. I find it so pathetic, and I'm just sad that a lot of non-native speakers are told, or this is what they learned themselves somewhere, that if they want to get better at speaking, they need to do a lot of drills and they need to rehearse a lot. So they need to invest all their efforts into prepared speech exercises. I'm not saying they're not important. I always say that in order to be spontaneous, you need to have rehearsed enough. They're important exercises, but it's also important to organize your practice in such a way so that you can give deliberate, conscious attention to preparing a presentation or speaking, delivering a prepared text, let's say. And so that you can give deliberate, conscious attention to learning how to be spontaneous. You can only learn it by doing it. You need to do it more often. Give compliments to people. Say what you feel. Respond to questions. Ask questions. Be in charge in every situation. Try to explain something. And the more you explain something, the more you learn what you're lacking. Maybe you're lacking vocabulary. Maybe you're lacking confidence. Maybe you're lacking competence to explain these skills. Go into your homework and go back to the exercise. Your practice routine can be so much fun because you're not improving your English skills per se. You're actually doing a 360-degree work on your personality, on your cognitive abilities, on your belief system as well. You need to be always reflecting on your own beliefs and values and assumptions. What assumption am I working off right now when I write this, or when I say this, or when I listen to this? Like, listening is also a very interesting exercise because a lot of people do a lot of guessing when they listen to somebody speak English. They might not understand every single word, but somebody told them or somebody taught them that it's not really important to understand every single word. It's important to understand the big idea. And so they imagine the rest that they didn't hear, and that's why they didn't understand it. Instead, what I would do, and what I always recommend doing, is that you invest your time and effort in learning to understand every single word so that it's not tiring, it's not exhausting, and it's actually easy for you to learn, so that it's actually easy for you to listen, to hear, to understand, and to have the time to think about what you have just heard. It's important for me to understand every single word so that I understand the big picture, the whole picture. Because if I only understand certain fragments, I might connect those fragments in my own way, which might be easily different from what a person meant to say. My focus is relationships with people. That's why I want to organize my practice around that. Everything I read, listen, say, and write, and think needs to contribute to my ability to understand people and to have meaningful relationships with people who speak any language, but especially those people who speak a foreign language. I hope I was able to make it clear why variety is important. It turned out to be a big topic, but it's important that variety needs to be present at so many different levels. If you want to learn how you can organize your practice routine, check out my community of practice for non-native speakers whose ambition it is to achieve native life fluency. You can start your 2-week free trial to see what's available, what's possible, try the exercises, leave your feedback, get feedback on your work in the community of practice, meet other people who share similar values and similar ambitions, and see what it's like and make a decision. Maybe you want to join us. And remember that you are responsible for creating the environment for yourself where this practice can exist. Have fun practicing. And I wish you a lot of joy. I wish you find a lot of joy in your practice routine.